Perfect. So we're back for this week, Nextpour. Um, Today we're going to be talking about estimation and
Hmm.
how AI can help estimators streamline some of the tasks they do. So why don't you kick us started, Roll? Maybe when thinking about estimation, what are the things that happen in an estimation process?
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward in a way and pretty complex at the same time. Estimation essentially is a process of compiling data from a lot of different subcontractor owners and presenting in your bid format, right? What does that mean? Is like first, you are given, so for any project, you are given some set of instruction on how that project is going to be built. Brother, it could be specification, it could be drawings, it could be permits and all the legal requirements around those um, project. So once you get all these requirements, now as a contractor or general contractor, your task is to estimate how much cost you're gonna incur on that project if you're gonna undertake that job, and then you have to guesstimate how much margin you should keep to be safe, right, in case like things go south and certain things. So the process essentially is taking those requirements and drawings and trying to predict how much cost we're going to incur on that project, right? That's estimation. It's pretty difficult in a way because the drawings, first of all, when you are bidding on those projects, the drawings are never complete, right? They are 60% drawing or 30% drawing. So you don't have the complete picture of how much, what you're going to build. You have certain idea. So if a 30% drawing is saying like, I have 30% idea, kind of like what I'm going to build, and then I'm going to bid that job, and hopefully everything will be within the budget limits. So that's the kind of complexity. And then rules and regulations change. um, New governments come, new tariffs gets imposed, and then you have like certain risks that you never thought about comes into the picture. So you for a good estimate, you have to be thinking about all those things when you do the bidding part of
Yeah.
your job, you know.
Hmm. So it sounds like it's a lot of information that you have or the estimator has to analyze to be able to come up with a reasonable price
Yeah.
so that they can win the project. And I imagine part of the complexity is also time constraints. So I
Mhm.
guess there's a timeline for submitting uh, the information, the estimate, and
Yeah.
also probably the company is working on multiple projects, so that might be another thing, right? So
Yeah.
it's not just one project on limited time. It's a lot of projects with limited time, and you have to scramble to get everything together. And then the other thing you said, like permits and pricing and all that is constantly changing. So something you did a year ago probably has to be updated on
Updated.
the numbers and all that because things change, right? And
Yeah.
I guess we're seeing a lot of that right now with the whole tariff thing, where we don't even know where we're standing on a daily basis, right? What
Yeah.
what new tariff was put on or things like that. So it's hard to
Yeah.
handle all those things. So let's maybe try to understand from a step-by-step perspective as an estimator how how AI could be used in the different steps, right? So
Mm.
maybe first step is you got the documents.
Yeah.
Now what? What do you use AI as a first step there?
Yeah. So first thing is just to understand what is part of my scope, I know. So if I'm a general contractor and I got those drawings, I need to understand like, as a general contractor, what are the things that I can take on my own, right? Because general contractors means general contractor. They don't have all the special contractor capabilities that they can do. So they need to do bidding. They need to hire those subcontractors, the specialty contractors, to do the job. So the first part of the job is just to understand how can I segment this pieces of drawings and data that I got for the project, and then I can understand like what is my scope, what is the scope that I will be hiring other people. Do I need another general contractor to do a JV for like bigger project, bigger infrastructure project? There is a concept of joint ventures. These guys bid the project together. One of them is specialized in one task, another one is specialized in another task. So just understanding that part is the first step in uh, in estimating. The second step is, you haven't asked it, but like second step is now you have to invite these specialty contractors and subcontractors to take on the scope that you won't be taking on, right? And then you have to manage that. So you invite them to bid on those things. um, and if I can continue, we the third step is you combine, like you see who you're going to choose among these um, subcontractors. So to just understand the complexity of the problem, let's say your specification or the requirements has requirement for 30 different subcontractors, and then for each scope item, or each for each subcontractor, you'll be inviting bids from 5 or 6 subcontractor in that specific domain, right? So now between those 5 or 6, you'll be choosing one, right? And you do that for 30, right? So just imagine the amount of communication that's happening, right? Amount of emails back and forth. There are 150, right, subcontractors that you will be commenting back and forth, and then you'll be choosing 30 out of them, right? So
So
just imagine that.
so let's start. Let's go back to step one. Imagine I'm an estimator.
Yeah,
I just got access to ChatGPT, right, or Gemini. Like I'm paying for one of those, and I come to you and I'm like, hey, bro, what do I do now, right? I have access to ChatGPT. I have all the documents I need for this estimation. What do I give ChatGPT? What do I ask? And how do I trust the output? Or what are the things that this ChatGPT can do and can't do for me in this step one?
right. So I think there is two part to the bid estimation. One is drawing, and another is textual information, information around specifications, permit requirements, and blah 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 other things, right? So these models are really good with textual information. They can understand drawings to a certain extent, but they are really good with the textual information. So the first thing is items like, what is my scope item, right? Understanding that part. You could use leverage ChatGPT or Gemini tools like that to like just synthesize information out of these different packages that you have. How do you synthesize it? um, you need to upload those documents to ChatGPT or Gemini. They have a program system where you can upload the document, and then you can ask very direct questions like uh, you can build out your company profile, like my company does this, and which are the scope item that you think is applicable to me, and which are the scope items which are not applicable to me. You can ask like those kind of questions, and you can go back and forth few times to understand what is your scope item and stuff like that, right? So
So I
that's
guess
I think first.
what you said, probably then the advice first is write a document that explains what your company does.
Yeah,
Right? Be very detailed. What are the capabilities you have? What type of projects you normally bid on? Things like that.
yeah,
So the AI can take that and then look at all the other documents and understand. Okay, based on your profile, this is where you fit, right?
yeah.
From all the other documents. That would be like the initial thing, just to a high level identify how you fit in the project, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you should write like generally when you are bidding the contract, you also have like a technical specification document, right? Technical qualification documents. You could use those kind of documents to generate your company profile, and you could list out the projects that you have done previously to build out like this is my scope item, right?
Mhm.
To understand what you have done, and then you can ask ChatGPT to, hey, these are the project I have done in past. We are into similar domain, and then from these specifications pick out the specifications that are applicable to me. And you could in second iteration ask like what are the different subcontractors that I need to apply for bid, and then so on and so
Sure.
on.
All right. So that makes sense. So the two things that we have to do with when working with ChatGPT is help it understand who we are,
Yeah,
and then help it understand the project, right? So that first thing of previous projects, um, technical capacities, all those documents help it understand who we are. And I think something that can be done is start with those, right? Like those documents that you already have, give it to ChatGPT as a first step and ask it to write a description of who your company is, right?
yeah,
That way it will distill the relevant things. And you can even go as far as to say, okay, from this document, write a description of my company that then can be used by an AI to understand exactly what we do, right?
yeah,
Like those type of language, it will give you that one page or whatever it decides to write. So now you take that and move to the next set of documents, like you said, specs, uh, even drawings. I know you mentioned drawings a little bit. Said the AI is better with text. Uh, and the drawings sometimes have text sections, right? So
mhm,
it's not like just because you have a drawing file, you should not use it. Give it to the AI. The AI will find the text in it and use the text to do the analysis, right? So
yeah,
you can then give it, this is my company. Now I need to understand what is our scope in this project. These are all the
yeah,
project documents. The more you describe to the AI, the better job it does, right? So if you can say, in one document, we have this type of things, in another document, we have these things, blah, blah, then the AI has a little bit more context. The real game with AI is the more context you can give, the better job it does, right? So
yeah.
now
So
we identify
the
where we.
way to think about this is the rule of thumb that I always use. If you have a lot of data and you have to reduce it, like it's like boiling water. If you have a lot of water and you want to boil that water down to some small container, that's AI is really good at it. So if you have like lots of data, specification and all that, and you want to find something out of it, easy. Like that's easy problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So just helping it guide what you want that distillation to be, or that boiling to be. Um, so now we know where we fit, right? In the project, we identify what's our scope, uh, and what's not our scope. So you mentioned step two is we need to put this out to other contractors, trades to get them do the job, or maybe if you're a trade now you need to get the pricing on certain items, right?
Yeah.
So that communication,
Yeah.
how can I help on that front?
Right. And I think the key part of that message is obviously you can do like emails, you can draft emails, you have all the specification documents, so you can draft really specific emails and stuff like that. And then you can send it out to people. So that part is those kind of tasks you can pretty much automate, right? You don't have to sit and think about those things. Obviously you need to look at, like if I'm asking an electric subcontractor, what I'm giving them specs is like electric specs, not mechanical specs and stuff like that. So you need to be thorough and vigilant, but you can automate a lot of this task around emailing and communication. But the real gain is now it can help you identify like risk and stuff, right?
Mhm.
So if you are hiring a electric subcontractor or somebody, a trade contractor, then you need to first you can identify their scope items, and you can like really explore AI and understanding like what are the risks that you will be taking on with this different part of the job, and like what are the languages, like the languages of the contracts and the specs are pretty nuances, right? And every contract has different languages. Sometimes the owner has done really good job, sometimes it's the specs are copy from another project, and there's like little disconnect between what you're going to build and what the spec says. So exploring that paradigm, right, it's really easy right now. It it is difficult if you do it on your own, but if you take help of AI, that becomes easy, because you could probe, right? You could ask so many questions, right? What does that language mean? What are the clauses that are problematic? You could, if you have like examples from your past projects where you you got into trouble, or like your project got into trouble because you missed something, then you can explore those things, right? Saying like, hey, is that a clause here applicable or not? So you could do those kind of things there. And we have like a lot of specialized tool that too, like document crunch is one of them that could help you explore like different risk and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Because it's it's becoming more strategic, uh, and that's one of the cool things with AI, because it frees up time
Yeah,
to move up to more strategic, high value things, and I think this is one of those, right? So yes, finding your scope in the project is super important, and that takes a lot of time. But if you can streamline that with AI, now you can move on to more value, like you said, finding risks, right? Where this thing could come back and bite me. Uh, where do I need to pay attention? Like you said, language that it's unclear, things like that. You can ask all those things from the AI. And the cool thing is, those two things don't have to happen one after the other, right? Like you could open two ChatGPT windows on your computer, have one where you are having it review the scope, have another one that you're having it just look at that language and risk and all those things, right? So in parallel, it's doing those two things for you. You don't. It's not like you have to wait for the first one to finish to then move to the second one, right? And like that, you could have 10 tabs open pretty much to do a lot of analysis of these things all at
mm,
once. So it's like having 10 employees working at the same time on specific things.
yeah,
But what I think it's really relevant is what you said of from your experience, right? Like what are the things that have gone wrong in previous projects that hopefully you documented, you learn about them, so now you can ask the AI about those specific things, right?
yeah,
So those errors are no longer
yeah. I
visible.
mean, it's always like it's almost always like the tacit understanding between the bidders, and so if you are bidding a project, you would have a tacit understanding with the whom you are bidding, that you will take on that scope, you will not take on that scope, and then um, the people who are actually building the projects are going to be different. So there is always a disconnect between those kind of things, and if the things are not very well backed into the contract, then it's a problematic, right? And same thing happens with the specs. If the specs language, like it's a, like a fairly long document, sometimes 1,000 pages, sometimes 5,000 pages, right? So you're not gonna pick on like all the languages and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
so gonna miss certain part, and you'll think, okay, this is not part of my scope, or I will not do that. And then when push comes to shove, you have to do that scope item, right? So it's always like encroachment of scope item, if I have to define in one single word, right?
yeah,
You are taking on more job than you bid on,
yeah,
and there's no clear day in your contract document like what is my job,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And I think a couple of weeks ago we talked about it's important for AI. So this is one of those, right? Like if you document your lessons learned, things like that from previous jobs, then the AI could use that when analyzing the next job. Uh,
Yeah,
and it could highlight those as risks, right? Like, hey, in your previous projects, this is what happened because of this.
Right.
Uh, Now I'm seeing that as a possibility in this new project, so just for you to be aware, right? Like
Yeah.
you decide to take it on or not, but at least now you're aware that that might end up happening, and when you need to price these things out, at least you're aware, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, super important. So
So the legal things are one domain, but like technical things are also another domain. Basically, it's engineering, right?
yeah,
So there are things that will go south engineering wise, like for example, ground, right? I'm a geotech engineer, so ground is, you need to be aware, like if you're building something and that ground, what are the risks you are taking about the grounds, and every ground is different. So there's like a lot of technical things that you could accumulate and you can understand in the contract also,
yeah.
right?
And I think there's one thing that might seem a little bit disconnected from this estimation, but it's you have people in the company with a lot of experience in different things, right? And you might not be aware of their experience, of their expertise, because maybe they never put that in the resume. Their resumes haven't been updated in forever, right? Like you don't know those things, but it could be that in this the first step that we talk about of building the company profile, there is an aspect there of your team's profile
Yeah.
expertise, right? It could happen that in the project there's something that maybe you're not aware that you could do, but if you combine that with what your team knows how to do, then you could find extra scope, maybe if we can call it that way, right?
Yeah.
But and it's not something that's super hard. You already have your people there. It's just a matter of how do you get them to document their experience, their expertise, and use that to for your next projects, right? And same thing goes to what were some of the things that were done in previous projects, right? That could show that expertise that maybe when it happened, it didn't seem like a big thing, but
Yeah.
now looking back, it's like, okay, yes, we're building this portfolio of skills, this toolbox, right, of the company that what now we know more things that we could do. So
Yeah.
all that become really relevant, I guess, in this stage of estimating, right? Because now you could open yourself to more things because of that.
Yeah.
So then you mentioned next step is the communication, the back and forth, right, with the trades or like owner, anyone like that whole back and forth happening through emails, happening through meetings, happening phone calls,
Yeah.
right? How how does AI can help us there?
Right. And I think there's a also like sometimes you have the subcontractors you work with and you have contracts with them and material vendors, so you have list of people that you work at, but some of the scope item might be new, or you want to change the subcontractor, or you want to explore what's the pricing of the material, you want to find new vendors and stuff that and all of these AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, even like a specialized tool like Manos, they have like a special deep search agent, which you can click a button and you can ask like, hey, prepare a report of steel pricing as 32 or whatever kind of steel pricing that's ongoing in the market, and do a thorough analysis how market is moving and what the cost is going to be in next 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, and calculate the pricing, or any kind of different kind of vendors. I want this kind of doors, I want it in Vancouver to be delivered. What are the vendors for that kind of doors that's available? I want within the 50-kilometer radius. And that's like that, even that kind of job that takes lots and lots of hours. So now you could just turn on the deep search agent and then ask it to go explore the web, and then it will come back after half an hour, 1 hour, depending on how it, but it will compile all the data and it does really good job at like capturing everything. So that part, like it's like very pinpointed solution, and you don't have to like, it's like very it fits the problem really well, right?
I
um
never thought about that, but yeah, you're right. Like even as a tool to help you be better prepared when negotiating some of these things, right? Like if you ask these deep search tools to look at the pricing of steel, right? How has it trend? What's the price right now? And based on what's happening in the world, how could the price be impacted, right?
Yeah.
Tariffs, uh, oil disruptions, supply chain disruptions, all those things. AI can find those articles, those news, and prepare a brief for you explaining how those prices could potentially be impacted, right? So next time you're negotiating prices or things like that, you have more information that you can leverage to do those things.
Yeah, you could explore trends. It can do like a lot of complicated engineering stuff. So you could ask it to build out trends and stuff like that. And it's really convenient. It's like very easy to do. And then it's available everywhere, like ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever. Yeah.
Nice. All right, so we put out the project. Now we're getting proposals from all the trades, right? Like you said, we could have 150 proposals to go through. So how does AI help us there, right? Like all the proposals look a little bit different, even if it's for the same scope, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has their own format they put the information in. Some of them are just one page with one number in it. Some inclusions, exclusions. Other are 10 pages, super detailed, right? Like they're even including some of the product specifications. There's so it's hard to go through all that and put it apples to apples, right?
Yeah.
It takes time for someone to do it, and it's so much data that it's really easy to make mistakes, right? You read something as included and was excluded, or
Yeah.
you had a typo when creating the spreadsheet and put a number that was not that number, right? So
Yeah.
all those things could really throw off the process. I mean, yes, there's going to be communication with the trades and all that, but it could potentially disrupt the process, right? Or at least delay it. So
Yeah.
so how does AI comes to help us in that?
Yeah, and these construction companies and subcontractors and trade contractors are very notorious in that regard. Like there's no standardized template. The contractor GCs, they try to send a specialized template saying like fill this out, and that would be easy for us to compare apples to apples when we receive bids from like five different subcontractors. But like everybody does their own PDFs, and there are email snapshots, and there are like uh, sometimes handwritten notes and stuff like that. And then somebody has to go through all those things, like painstakingly do a bid learning things, right? So the language models and the vision models, which are like the chat gpts and google, the standard model that we use, they are really good at, like, if you give them two documents and ask it to compare, they can do a very good job at comparing those documents, right? So you could have it like, you could have your own like scope item, like I want subcontractor or like the trade A to bid on this scope items, and I have received bids from this guy and this guy, show me the difference like in their bids. So you could do like exploration kind of like that, and then you could ask like, these things tell me like who included these things, or what are the things they excluded sneakily in the language. And you could ask those kind of questions, and the tools, the chat gpts, if you write it properly, they'll do a better job than what you could do in less, way less amount of time.
Yeah, yeah. So it's very similar to the first thing, right? It's there are two aspects to this. Having it create that spreadsheet for you, which it can do, right, with
Yep.
inclusions, exclusions, maybe some prices. If you have the scope items, then you can just ask the AI to compare those scope items to the proposals, and
Yeah.
it does a really good job. Even like we've seen sometimes those documents are handwritten documents, right, annotated with handwritten notes, and the AIs can read those type of annotations and use them.
Yeah.
Won't be perfect, definitely, because even as a human, we struggle to understand this thing that they wrote on the side. Is it this line, or this line, right? So it's sometimes not clear. So
Yeah.
the AI will definitely struggle with that, but in the end, it's going to save the time of
Yeah.
building spreadsheets. So that's one. But the other is, like you said, again, risks, right? So we in construction sometimes try to be vague. So there's some things we can win by doing that, or maybe lose, but we're hiding things, right? So the AI can help uncover those things, right? Like, hey, this thing, how are they talking about it? Is it included? Is it not included? Or it's just not mentioned anywhere, right? So finding again the risk profile of each proposal,
Yeah.
that's super important, and it's one of those things that it's hard to do, right? Because that's, I guess, why we're building those spreadsheets and reading those documents as detailed as we can, but still it's just easy to miss things, right? So we can use the AI as the tool that does the legwork. It compiles all the data, it does a preview or a pre-analysis of the things, and then we just have to go in and continue the exploration. And
Yeah.
and I always think that that's where the expertise comes in, right? Like, you are an estimator. You've been doing this process multiple times, right?
Yeah.
So if you just take a step back and think about it, like, what do you do? Or if you were onboarding a new person and have to explain everything you do, right? That's the same thing you have to do with the AI. Treat it as if it was a new employee. You have to explain the things, but you
Yeah.
know the things from experience. So
Yeah.
just share that experience with the AI. Not think that, oh, this AI is super smart, so I'm just gonna give it two proposals and ask it to do bit leveling. It's gonna do something that resembles bit leveling, definitely, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna be what you already know, right?
Yeah.
So the more you can guide that, the better the output. So it's like, I want you to do bit leveling, but pay attention to these things because you already know those things normally are where the errors happen, right? So you can
Yeah.
have the AI pay attention to those things and be super detailed. So I think that's a really
Yeah.
cool thing to do.
Yeah, I think the pattern that we are discovering, like in previous podcast and this one also, is like now everybody should keep a document of like how they do things, and that document will become their like intern at one
Yes.
point. And so you could hire 10 interns, but you if you could like keep 10 documents and you perfectly keep details of how and what things you look at when you do certain tasks, that document itself can become your intern. And
Yeah.
with that right thing, you can ask ChatGPT or other tools to do a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's super important, and it's a hard thing to do, right? No, we don't really have the practice of journaling and things like that, right? Like, what did I what happened today that went well, what happened that didn't go well, and maybe the why, right? That's something
Yeah.
that ideally we should be doing. It's a really good tool for personal growth, but we don't have the time, right? So we have a lot of things to do. But I think that's where AI comes super handy, because now imagine you're commuting back home after work, right? You can set up ChatGPT and have a conversation with it, and just set it that way. Be like, hey, ChatGPT, I want you to help me do a brain dump of my day.
Mm.
So ask me questions. I want to use this 30 minutes commute as my journaling thing, right? So ask me questions about my day, right?
Yeah.
And probe on the things that might need a little bit more details, right? So
Yeah.
you start doing those things if you're already driving back home or whatever, right? So it's not that you have to pause something to do this thing. It's
Yeah.
just how you can start doing those things. And at one point, you're gonna have documented so much that now you can use all those things for the AI.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what everybody should do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we should start and then tell people how it went. We should do that for 2 weeks and see how it goes.
Nah, you guys do it.
All right, cool. So we're on time, but yeah, just summarizing, AI can help with the estimating process. It can help you identify scopes. It can help you find risks. There are things you have to do in the beginning, defining your company profile, things like that. But it can help you research online trends, pricing information, things that could be impacting your materials, right? Like it could do all those things, and it's not like you have to wait there the 10 minutes that it takes for you to do the research. You can go do something else and come back. So use those things, and then at the end for bid leveling, you can have it create a spreadsheet for you, comparing all the proposals, but you can also use it to find risks, and even go one step further to create a list of questions you should ask each company, each trade, to make your analysis better, right?
Yeah.
Because now the AI knows what the 3 or 5 proposals are and knows where the differences are. So it could just generate questions that are tailored for each company, right? So
Yeah.
again, it helps with all those things. So it saves a lot of time. It's
Yeah.
not replacing you. It's not replacing the process. It's helping you through the process. So you spend more time in that risk management piece, that it's really where the core thing is, right? Managing those risks, and less time filling in spreadsheets and extracting data. So
Yeah. And we didn't even talk about drawings. So
no,
that was very, maybe we should do another episode where we continue this discussion and maybe
yeah,
show off some of the tools, how to use them.
yeah, I like that idea. So let's go back on that topic in a couple of episodes. But yeah, for now we're on time. So thank you, Raul. It was good
Thank
chatting.
you.
And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
I
Bye.
talk to you next week. Bye.